Hi guys, and welcome back to today's video. I have a super busy day today. I'm going to be making a ton of make-ahead breakfast meals, so I like to, at the beginning of every month, just make up several make-ahead breakfast meals just to make our mornings go smoother. That way I can just pull them out of the freezer, defrost them overnight, and the next morning they are totally ready to go. And it makes it easier for everyone because they can just pull them out as well and eat at their convenience whenever it's easiest for them in the mornings. And it just makes our mornings go so much smoother. So that is what I'm going to be working on today. I have a full day of cooking and then other various things, but today's video I'm going to be focusing on the cooking that I'm going to be doing today and just show you guys how I do that and just kind of give you motivation for doing this as well, because it does make mornings go so much smoother. So the directions won't be voiced over on this video because I feel like it would be just too long of a video with everything that I'm going to be doing. But if you see a recipe that you're interested in, I will try and put as many down in the description box below. And if I do miss one, just leave a comment and I will leave it below. But let's just get right into today's video. So the very first recipe that I was going to be making were these pumpkin chocolate chip muffins, and these are so good. We love eating these, so I wanted to make sure to make those very first thing because they're really nice and fun to eat on the weekends. They aren't the best for you, so I was trying to just make some just for the weekends because we do kind of splurge on the weekends more. So yeah, anyways, this was the very first recipe that I was going to make for today. And this is pumpkin puree, and I just had already opened the can, so I put the leftovers in this little jar because I only needed a little bit when I had used it previously. So yeah, that's why it is in this glass jar instead of the can that it came with. And this is a really fun recipe because it tastes amazing, but it is super easy to pull together and make in just a couple minutes. And I know it totally looks like baby food right now, but I promise you that this recipe is literally one of our favorite family breakfast recipes that we make. And typical recipes do tell you to put the dry ingredients and the wet ingredients in two separate bowls, but this is how I have always done it growing up. We always just put it into the same bowl and just mix it on top and then mix it totally in like you see me doing here, and it makes it so much faster and only dirties one bowl, which is really nice. And you can make these into loaves instead of doing these individual muffins. But since I was going to be freezing these, I wanted to do muffins. That way I wouldn't have to defrost a whole big loaf. I could just defrost individual little muffins depending on who was going to be eating these in that morning. And this is what they look like after they are all done. They are so yummy, and you guys should definitely try these if you've never tried them before. And the recipe is in the description box below, so definitely go and check that out and give these a try. And if you do, comment below how you guys liked them or tag me on Instagram letting me know there as well. So this next recipe that I'm going to be making here is called cinnamon apple oatmeal cups, and we had never tried this. I just found this recipe off of Pinterest, but it looked really good and I needed to use up these apples, and I also wanted to make something that was a little more healthy just for our regular weekday breakfast meals, so I decided to give these a try. And I probably could have just cut these up into big pieces and put them in the blender and blended them up, but I just decided to go ahead and chop them up really quickly. That way I wouldn't have to pull the blender out and dirty another dish. And these were also very simple to make and only took just a few minutes, which was really nice since I had a lot of things that I needed to do today other than just cooking, but also just a lot of cooking in the kitchen. I really was enjoying the really quick and easy recipes that pulled together really quickly. And this recipe did not call for salt, but if you know me, I really like salt, and I can definitely tell if a recipe doesn't have it in there. So I always generally end up adding salt to recipes that don't call for it, or extra salt to recipes that don't call for very much, because I love my salt over here. And this ice cream scoop totally makes scooping out the batter into these muffin cups so much easier, and it's just like the perfect amount. So I always use this ice cream scoop to scoop out the mixture into these because it makes it so much faster. And this is what they look like coming out of the oven. They looked super good and they smelled even better. It had the whole house smelling like cinnamon and apples, and everyone was wondering what I was baking in the oven. They did stick to the paper muffin liners a little, so if I were to make these again, I would either use the reusable silicone muffin liners or just spray the paper ones just a little bit so that they don't stick. But since I was going to be freezing them, I wasn't too worried because I was hoping that when I freeze them, I can just peel them off when they're still frozen and they wouldn't stick as bad. So the next thing I wanted to work on was making these breakfast Hot Pockets that we're going to be making here. And I didn't use a recipe for this. It was going to be really simple, so I didn't really need one. But I started out by chopping these potatoes into little cube-sized pieces and baking those until they were soft, because I was going to be making an egg sausage potato scramble and then putting those inside of my tortillas that I was going to then make into Hot Pockets. So once my potatoes were done, I had to pause my cooking for a little bit to do some other things that I had going in the day. So this is now a little later in the day, and I just started back by browning my sausage and then scrambling my eggs for the mixture. And I did add some onions and peppers to my sausage as I browned it. I've been trying to cook with just things that I have on hand and definitely use up like the produce that it looks like it's going to go bad soon, so that I don't lose any of my food that I have in the fridge and I can just use it all and not waste it. So yeah, it's actually been a lot of fun just using up what we have on hand and cooking with what we have on hand. And it has saved so much on our waste store and buying whatever we need. So it's definitely a win-win. And normally for scrambled eggs, I do like to use the brown eggs, but we didn't have enough and this is what we had on hand. And like I said, I've been trying to cook with what we have on hand instead of going and buying whatever we need, so I just ended up using these white eggs. And I took a small moment to show you my dog Bree, who literally is always right next to me wherever I go. She always follows me, so she was right down here next to my feet while I was in the kitchen cooking. And you can see here I'm adding a lot of dairy to these eggs. I don't typically put sour cream in my eggs, but since I was going to be freezing these, I didn't want them to dry out, and we have had that happen once before in just freezing eggs, so I definitely didn't want that happening this time, so I was just adding dairy to hopefully cut down on some of the dryness. Cooking eggs for us is kind of a science. We are very picky about how our eggs are cooked, and we definitely do not like them burned. So we generally will cook them at a very low heat, stirring them constantly so that they do not get browned on any of the sides, and we do tend to like ours just a little bit underdone. Definitely not raw, but just a little underdone. And I was cooking these a little more underdone than we normally do because I knew that we would be cooking them again to reheat them when we wanted to eat them again after them being frozen. So once all of that was done, I just shredded up some cheese and added that to the eggs. And I did use quite a bit of cheese because I was hoping that this would also help to keep the eggs nice with and being good. Frozen. So then I just added some sausage and put some of the potatoes in, and I was just using these tortillas that you can see here, and I just basically took them and put some of the mixture in and then folded them over and pressed down really good on the edges, and it did seal the edges really nicely, much better than I was expecting, and made these really fun looking Hot Pockets. So once I had all of them done, I'm just wrapping each of them individually in this wrap. And here are all of the things that I had made so far. I didn't actually end up finishing everything that I wanted to because it got dark and it was just time to clean up for the day. So yeah, I still had quite a few things left to do, but here I'm just wrapping these Hot Pockets in foil because I was really trying to wrap them good so that they wouldn't get freezer burnt since I was going to be freezing them. So yeah, I'm just wrapping them in foil and putting them to the side to freeze. And once I had them all wrapped in foil, I just put them in these gallon-sized baggies and then labeled them. And then I just did the exact same thing with the muffins. I didn't wrap the muffins with foil because it would have been kind of difficult to get each of them wrapped. So I just put them in the gallon-sized baggies, and we will be eating these muffins pretty quickly, so I wasn't too worried that they would get freezer burnt before we ate them. And here are all of the things that I finished. It was really nice to get these in the freezer and know that we had quite a few things stored away and ready for the week. And here I am just checking off all the things that I got done. There is still quite a few left, but I was really happy with how much I got done considering everything else that I had on this day to do. And I just finished them off by putting them in these big bags. These bags are really helpful to keep things from being freezer burnt, so I put them in there so that it would help them to not get freezer burnt as we ate them. We always use these bags for anything that we store in the freezer, like meat or anything like that that we don't want to get freezer burnt, and it works super well to keep things from getting freezer burnt. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, be sure to give it a big thumbs up. That really helps my channel and I really appreciate it. And if you're new here, be sure before you go to hit that red subscribe button and become a part of my family here. And if you do, leave a comment below letting me know that you're new because I would love to say hi to you guys. But I'm going to end the video here, so be thankful and rejoice in the Lord. Bye guys.
Through it all, I've learned to trust in Jesus. I've learned to trust in God.